with Selenium, you had to rely with browser stack lambda test, and then you have to again purchase the license. So these things, browser stack lambda test, but with Playwright, you don't need to do that. You don't need any additional license to purchase. You don't need any other external third-party tools. You can do that with Playwright itself. Hello, my dear friends, and welcome back to qebro, your favorite YouTube channel. I hope everyone is doing good. And yeah, so as I mentioned last week, we finished our old playlist which we were doing under Agile and software development methodologies. I hope you guys followed that and everything is clear. So as I mentioned, from this week, I'm going to start on a new playlist. So since we covered different areas throughout the last year, I thought of starting something related to the automation as well. So with this, we have covered all the basic or the foundational areas related to a quality assurance job role, because previously we have done all the things related to the theoretical things and about manual testing, and then we did about, even last time we discussed about the agile practice as well. So likewise we have covered all this stuff, and the only remaining thing was something related to the automation. So with this playlist I'm covering that area as well. So now after we finish this playlist, so you will be ready to take on any job role related to quality assurance. Yeah, even before that you were ready, I know, because we have covered all this stuff. Only the automation part was remaining. But now with this we are covering the automation side as well. So with this we are starting a new playlist on Playwright. Yeah, Playwright is uh, very popular these days. So I thought of starting a playlist on the Playwright part. So today's video mainly we can discuss about what is Playwright and a comparison with some other existing popular tool like Selenium. And then we can end for today. Yeah, this will be a very quick video. I just wanted to give the introduction and the background related to the Playwright as a starting point. And from next week video, we can start on the actual coding side related to the Playwright. Okay. So to start with the Playwright, I thought of sharing some history part related to the Playwright. Yeah, as you know, Playwright is automation tool. Yeah, now you already know it. And this was developed by Microsoft back in 2020s. This was there was a separate project of Puppeteer. So the same team started working on the Playwright and developed a Playwright up to now. And then when compared with Puppeteer and the Playwright, there are so many additional features they have included into Playwright, such as the support for multiple browsers, and we can talk about the rest of the features in the coming slides. So this goes beyond the Puppeteer framework, and then this is of course this is also open source. So it's free of charge. You can use it for all your commercial projects as well. And as I mentioned, since this is from Microsoft, it has very good community, and the backend is there from the Microsoft, and also it get updates regularly, and it's a growing tool. And also we can use the Microsoft ecosystem for your Playwright needs, such as you can code Playwright with TypeScript. TypeScript is also from Microsoft, and then also you can use the Microsoft IDEs as well, and then there will be additional plugins for these Microsoft IDEs from Microsoft itself. So you can use this whole Microsoft ecosystem for your testing needs. So with Playwright and the TypeScript and the Microsoft IDEs as well. So since all these are from the same company, so the interrelation between different these tools and also the updates and the support and the community is also very good. So that's some information about the history and how it is started. And next I want to discuss about a small comparison we can do between Selenium and Playwright, because yeah, as you know, Selenium is now very old. For decades we are using Selenium, and most of the organization and engineers are well established with Selenium. But now compared to Selenium, Playwright is bit new. Not new actually, it was released in 2020, but now it's almost almost 5 years, but yeah, some companies and engineers are now moving towards Playwright. So then it will be, I think, good to compare this with some existing very known tool like Selenium. So that's why I picked Selenium for the comparison with the Playwright. So here, first of all, we can do the comparison on the architecture side on like how these tests will be executed on Playwright versus how it was executed on the Selenium. First, let's take on the Selenium. So let's say, yeah, you have the test scripts, and then, as you know, the Selenium, it will, using the web drivers, it will launch the browser, and then it will execute those commands. So what will happen is like this test will convert into a JSON, and then it will create all these connections every time for each action. It will create a connection via HTTP. All these things get executed. Since like these HTTP connections are stateless, we have to reopen and terminate. Likewise, we have to go for different actions. We have to create these connections. However, it will be on HTTP. That's one reason why Selenium tests are a bit slow. But if you have already seen or if you have executed at least one Playwright test, then you will see, yeah, if you haven't, don't worry, from next week you can see all this stuff. So if you have done or if you have seen, you will see when compared with Selenium, Playwright tests are very fast. It take only sometimes just few seconds only, less than 5 seconds, sometimes in milliseconds. It will quickly launch the browser, do all this stuff, and then likewise, it's very fast. The reason behind that is the architecture actually, because as I mentioned with Selenium, it will do all this via this HTTP communication, but when it comes to the Playwright, it will do all these things via the WebSocket. In that case, it doesn't need to create these connections every time. And here you will see here one directional communication will happen. But here with WebSockets, it's bidirectional. So that is another reason. So in that case, it doesn't need to create open, close, new connections every time. Using the WebSockets, it will communicate. So that is one major reason why Playwright tests are very fast compared with the Selenium. So that is behind the architecture. I hope that part is very clear. Okay, then next we can go to the feature-wise comparison. I hope you can read this. I had to like put all these things into one slide, so then it's easy to see. But yeah, if you don't worry, I will share these slides with you. You can find the link in the description section as usual. So when compared with Playwright and Selenium under the feature-wise, yeah, first the language support, because you know you can code Selenium with the support of so many languages like Java, Python, C Sharp, Ruby, JavaScript, and also yeah, PHP. Similar to Playwright, you can code it mainly with some JavaScript based technologies. Yeah, you can do it with pure JavaScript, and or else you can go with TypeScript as well. As I mentioned, TypeScript is also from Microsoft, so that it will be very easy to work with TypeScript and Playwright combination. Other than that, yeah, you can go with Python, .NET or C Sharp, again Microsoft, and yeah, Java as well. So you can see there is a rich language support for Playwright too when compared with Selenium. And then the browser support for Selenium, you know, you can now with the WebDriver own Selenium WebDriver. Previously, we had to go with the third-party plugins, but now with Selenium latest versions, you can use its own WebDriver, and then you can launch these Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, and Internet Explorer browsers. For Playwright, there is no need to like have any like these third-party or different web drivers. It has built-in browsers. So with Playwright, you can do Chromium, Firefox, WebKit, and the open source variants maintained by the Playwright. You can use all these browsers as well. So yeah, with that you can do cross-browser testing too. So that also possible with Playwright. Then if you talk about the installation part, you know how to do the Selenium installation. Let's say for example, I will take Java and Maven. Then it's a matter about adding the dependency to the Maven and then build your project. So then you can uh, enable Selenium for your project. So as here mentioned, it will vary by language. Yeah, and auto-managed drivers via the Selenium manager. But when it comes to the Playwright, it's easier than this as well. You just need to do a simple npm install. Yeah, so with that, you need to have npm installed as a prerequisite. But then for other things, you can do using the package managers. It's very easy, the installation. It's a single line of execution to install all these things. So simple npm install. Other follows the standard package managers and auto manage the browser binary. So for the browser handling, there is nothing else you need to do. It will automatically manage with the Playwright package. Then when it comes to the API design, in Selenium, it was again the traditional WebDriver API. So you need to work all the time with the WebDriver API. And explicit weights and implicit weights, likewise, you need to handle all these things manually. Or else you need to go with another third-party framework integration to handle these things. But when it comes to the Playwright, you can, it's like all the things are automatically handled. All the things will happen with the promise-based API with auto waiting. So you don't need to explicitly call any waits or anything. All these things will be handled with the Playwright from the promise-based APIs. So all these things you will get realized when we do actual coding from next week. For the time being, we can just go through these items, but don't worry, I will show these things from the next week videos. Then the test runner. So you know what a test runner is. So you can use all these test runners for the Selenium, like just Jasmine, Mocha, WebDriver, and the mostly used run the test-ng and JUnit. Likewise, there are different other test runners. Similarly, for Playwright also we have some items like Jest, Jasmine, AVA, Mocha, Ytest. Likewise, there are different test runners currently available, and I think in the future the list will continue. And for the operating systems, yeah, that also multi operating system, so it supports. So you can run it on any operating system. And then regarding the architecture, previously in previous slide we discussed this separately. But for the architecture, yeah, in Selenium we have the 4-layer architecture, which means we have the client library. Then we have the protocols and the drivers and the browsers, the HTTP communication. But as I mentioned in the Playwright, instead of this HTTP communication, we use the WebSockets. So headless browser with event-driven architecture using the WebSocket. Yeah, by default, we can run the tests in the headless mode, but if you need, yeah, you can use with the UI mode as well. So it will open the browser and you can see the execution as well. Then integration with CI, yes, it's possible with any CI/CD tools. You can do this. And then for the prerequisites, I previously also mentioned for the Selenium, based on your language, it will vary. And then you need to use the language bindings, the browser drivers, and the Selenium standalone server if you need it. But if not, you don't need Selenium standalone, only the browser drivers and those things will do. But for the Playwright, as I mentioned here, since we install it with npm, you need Node.js or the auto, then it will auto handle the browser bindings. So it's a matter about all these prerequisites. Then the real device support. For Selenium, yes, if you need to do some mobile testing and stuff, you need to go with Appium. And then cloud providers, we have browser stack or Lambda test likewise. So then you can run your test cases on those platforms. We have already discussed about how to do these things on the browser stack and Lambda test. So you can visit our playlist related to those stuff. I will link it here as well. But when it comes to Playwright, without using any of these Appium or the browser stack or anything, you can do the emulations with Playwright itself. So you just need to update some configuration files and then you can enable the mobile emulation and this cross-browser platforms as well. So native mobile emulation is available and experimental real Android devices executions will also available. Then the mobile testing with Selenium, you can do full native mobile testing with, yeah, but again you have to go with Appium integration, not with pure Selenium you can't. You have to go with Appium. But with Playwright, we have only limited to mobile browser emulation, but you can play with the network and geolocation. These things you can change and test. Then regarding the speed, I previously also mentioned about this. This is very fast due to the architecture behind this, due to the WebSocket communication. But with Selenium, I know you have seen it. It's slower and use HTTP protocols, and then yeah, parallel testing with Selenium. Yeah, you can do parallel testing, but you need the Selenium grid, or you have to use some other external tools. That means like for your parallel executions of test cases to run multiple tests at the same time. With only Selenium you can't do. For that they have their own tool, the Selenium grid. Either you have to use Selenium grid, you have to install and use the Selenium grid, or else you have to use any other available external third-party tool. But with Playwright, it's built in. Or else if you need a built-in for this JavaScript, or if you are using JavaScript or TypeScript as your language support for the Playwright, then yeah, it is built in. But if you use any other languages like Python, .NET or Java, then yeah, then you need to use some plugins, or you have to do some workarounds. So that's why maybe it will be the best option to go with JavaScript or TypeScript with Playwright instead of going for any other language. And from that also, I think yeah, TypeScript will be better because it has more features or more, and it's very easy to code when it compared with JavaScript, because TypeScript have come with other like new features from the other high level languages, and also it is backed from Microsoft. So yeah, so it's up to you to select the language support, with which language binding you will go for the Playwright. But yeah, for me, I think naturally I would like to go with the TypeScript Playwright combination. Then regarding the community support, yeah, Selenium now it's like over the couple of decades, and it has a very vast community support and a mature ecosystem, and there is a huge contributor base and a user base, so it's very easy to get answers for all your queries. But when it comes to Playwright, since it started back in 2020 and still it's growing, it might be smaller compared with the Selenium, but don't forget that it's backed by Microsoft and it's built by Microsoft, and it's, even though it's open source, it's sponsored by Microsoft. So considering that, we don't need to worry about Playwright community support as well. It also has a fast growing community now. Even it has a Discord channel as well, so you can join the Discord chat channel. So all their new features and everything about their events, everything will be published on these channels on the chat. And also you can have a discussion about, if you let's say have any questions, so you can ask those things as well. So it is very easy due to these things. So yeah, that also have a growing community, so nothing much to worry about. Then talking about ecosystem and plugins, Selenium have an extensive plugin list due to its maturity and the time it's been in the industry. Similar to like Selenite, WebDrive IO, Waiters, Selenium Base, like there are so many other external third-party plugins tools and Selenium tools as well. Then when compared to the Playwright ecosystem and plugins, yeah, compared to Selenium, it has a smaller plugin ecosystem, but it's growing again due to the same reason, because it's backed by Microsoft. Yeah, again, though, the last point which already we have discussed, yeah, about the open source thing. Selenium, yeah, it's open source and backed by open source community, but Playwright, it's backed by Microsoft. So this is quick glance at a feature comparison of Selenium and Playwright. I hope now you have a clear idea about how fast Playwright is growing and what are the features available with Playwright. As you can see, for most of the things with Selenium, you had to use any other third-party tool or plugin to enable some additional features. But with Playwright, those things are already built in. Don't worry, there are a lot more in the next slides we can discuss. Then about the tools. So these all are some already built-in tools with Playwright. So you can use all these features with Playwright instead of installing any other third-party plugins or tools. So you can use all these things also for free with the Playwright installation. One thing is the Playwright test runner. So this is a built-in test runner supporting the parallel executions, and also you can do retries, and there are so many other things you can achieve through the Playwright test runner as well. But if you can remember, if you need to do these things, you have to, with Selenium, you have to use other third-party tools. Like even for the parallel execution, you have to go with Selenium read. For retries, you have to go with any other mechanism. One thing is like the report portal. Like there are other third-party tools similar to that. So you need to use similar things for the parallel execution and retries. But with Playwright Test Runner, no need to use any of these things. When you install Playwright, all these things will be built in for your use. Built in using the Playwright Test Runner, you can achieve all these features. Then about the browser context, as I mentioned, no need to install browsers separately or drivers, anything. All these things are also get installed. So isolated environments or multi-session testing in a single browser instance. And then there is another cool feature called the trace viewer. So using the trace viewer, it's like similar to the network tab in your browser where let's say you can go to the developer tools and switch to the network tab on your browser, and then when you go visit the page, you can see all these information like kind of a trace view of all the requests and the time taken, like all this information. Similarly, you have a tool called the trace viewer with the Playwright. So using this trace viewer, we can get a visual. So it's a visual tool where you can use it to inspect traces from the test run. So when you execute the test, and if you have opened the trace viewer, then you can see all these trace views there. Not only like this request information, it will have the DOM snapshots. So you can see before execution and after execution of a particular step what happened on the UI. So very clearly you can switch between before and after, and you can see even a click what happened before the click and what is after that. Likewise, you can see all this information including the DOM snapshots, all the network information and the console logs and the other things as well. So we will see these things in the upcoming videos. And then it has a code gen. So the code gen is kind of a record and playback mechanism. With Selenium, you have to go with other plugins or other tools, or else like another separate solution like the Catalan Studio built using Selenium. Similar to that, but when it comes to Playwright, it has its own record and playback mechanism called the code gen. So it will automatically generate the Playwright scripts by recording the use action. So you just need to run the code gen, then it will open the browser for you, and then on that particular browser you can do all these actions, and those things will be recorded, and then you can convert it to a script, and then if you need to do any changes, you can do it on the code itself. So that is about the code gen. Yeah, it's very easy. And then here we have an inspector as well. This is a UI tool to step through the tests, highlight elements, and mainly for the debugging purposes. It's like you don't need to, let's say, add all these debugging points on the code at different levels and pass one by one. But using the inspector, you can do that easily. Then the Playwright CLI, the command line tool interface is also there. So all these things you can do from the UI or the IDE, or else you can do through the CLI as well. So the Playwright CLI, the command line interface for running the tests, opening browsers, inspecting selectors, and to open all these tools or features. All these things you can do using this rich CLI. So yeah, all these things will be available. So these are like the additional tools which you have inside the Playwright installation. So to achieve all these things, so some things with Selenium, you had to go with some other third-party integration installations or other tools. But with Playwright, you don't need to do any single additional installation or integration. All these things will be available with the installation of your Playwright instance. So nothing much than that. Then when it comes to the capabilities part, all these things are also built in, available with the Playwright installation. I will go one by one, then you will realize to do these things with Selenium or any other automation tool, you have to go with a lot of work or installation or integrations, but not a single line of code or single line of installation you need to do with the Playwright. First one is like assertions, the most important thing. Assertions are built in. So you don't need to use any of the assertions or third-party integrations for the assertions. All these assertions are built in Playwright. You can use Playwright assertions for the UI parts, but for the APIs, you have to go with some installations, third-party integrations, some integrations or some libraries. So that's fine because it's not much hard because you can with the package managers you can easily do those installation as well. Then for the visual comparisons, you already know what visual comparisons are because we have already discussed these things under browser stack and lambda test as well. I show you how to do this visual comparison testing on those platforms where it will take the snapshot or the screenshot and it will save. And once the test executing, it will take another screenshot and it will do the comparison of these two screenshots. But the same thing you can do without any integration. So without any third-party installations with built-in Playwright features. So you can do the snapshot testing and screenshot testing as well. Both are available. So snapshot testing means it will take the snapshot of DOM at the exact moment and then it will save. And then when the test is executing, it will take again a snapshot on the DOM and then it will compare. So even if a mismatch on one HTML element, it will detect through that. So that is the snapshot testing. But screenshot testing means it will take a screenshot on the browser at the UI level. So it will detect all the changes like text change or the color change, even a pixel change on the UI. But the snapshot testing, it will check it at the code level, or I mean the DOM level. So all these tags, all these things can be also tested. So with Selenium, you had to rely with browser stack or lambda test, and then you have to again purchase the license. So these things, browser stack or lambda test, but with Playwright, you don't need to do that. You don't need any additional license to purchase. You don't need any other external third-party tools. You can do that with Playwright itself. Then, the accessibility testing also you can do. For accessibility testing also, either you have to go with other third-party tools or other libraries. There is a plugin called Xcode, so you can use the browser plugin to do manual testing, and you can use Xcode to integrate with Selenium or Java and then do the accessibility automation testing. These things we can discuss later when we come to accessibility playlist. But with Selenium, you can't do that alone. You have to go with any of these other third-party tools or plugins. But with Playwright, you can do the accessibility testing as well. So we have this accessibility.snapshot API. So using that API, you can simply do the accessibility checks. Here, A11Y means accessibility because it's a very interesting thing. If you check the name accessibility, between A and Y, there are 11 letters. So that's why it's written as like this A11Y in shorthand form. I know it's very long to write accessibility. It was shortened as A11Y. The reason behind the 11 here is that here from A to Y inside there will be 11 letters. You can count it later. So as I mentioned, no need to go with any of these third-party tools or plugins to do visual comparison testing or accessibility testing. Then component testing. Also you can do. This is still experimental level. You can run tests at the component level. Then the API testing is also there. Built-in support for making the HTTP request, but with Selenium you have to go with REST assured or other thing to do the API testing. Within that, you have to rely with these third-party tools. But for the Playwright, you can do the API testing with built-in support for making these HTTP requests. So that's about the capabilities. Now you can really see why Playwright can be better than Selenium at one point. Selenium is now over 2 decades and it's well matured and the community support and about all these learning resources and we compare to everything. And yeah, it's due to the its maturity now there are no much open bugs there. Most of the things are fixed and yeah, it's well stable. But when it comes to Playwright, it's comparatively recently introduced, but yeah, it's backed by Microsoft and it's growing continuously. But it have all this built-in support for all these features, tools, and capabilities, which you had to use or rely on other third-party libraries, plugins, tools, or you had to buy other license like browser stack or lambda test to do these things. But with Playwright, you don't need to do all these things, installations, plugin research, or plugin POCs or buying external licenses, no need. All these things are already built in with Playwright. All the support is there to take screenshots, to take the snapshots, to do the accessibility testing, to do cross-browser testing, to do device emulations, to do network emulations, to do geolocation changes, to do accessibility testing, to do component testing, to do API testing, to do assertions. All these things are built in with Playwright. And also the trace weavers are there, the code gen is there, all these other additional tools are also there for your support for creating your test cases. So now I think you realized why Playwright can be a better option going forward for your new projects. Or else, yeah, it's a good opportunity for you to now learn Playwright. And one day, when you have to make the decision, with your experience and your knowledge, you can decide what will be the best for your problem, Selenium or Playwright. So I think it's about what I had to share for this video. I think everything was clear. But if you have any questions, you know how to contact me. You can drop an email at qebro.pro@gmail.com, or else you can use the comment section down here. So I'm really happy to help you with all your questions. So then from next video, we can see how you can install Playwright and then how to use all these discussed features, tools, and capabilities with Playwright. So stay tuned till next week and happy testing.